Hey guys, today's video is going to be a good one, and it's going to be uploaded a little late, but I was just made aware of this, and as you can see by the article, it was last updated April 25th, so that was right before the weekend started, and if you haven't seen the news, Activision is being sued, not in a class action lawsuit, but by parents and families individually nationwide. So let's just get right into it. People are filing lawsuits against Activision Blizzard, alleging video games like Call of Duty, Overwatch, and World of Warcraft are designed to be addictive and cause harm to some gamers. These lawsuits accuse Activision Blizzard, who owns many popular online games, of not properly disclosing potentially dangerous side effects of its products. After Activision Blizzard's games, some players suffered from depression, anxiety, social isolation, seizure disorders, and a variety of mental health conditions. Many children, teens, young adults have become addicted to games developed by Activision Blizzard. Due to their addiction to these games, many people suffered financial, physical, and mental setbacks. In an effort to gain compensation for these losses, people are filing lawsuits nationwide. Nationwide. This just shows you how much of an effect Call of Duty has had on the mental state of not only the players, but the families around the players, guys. Like, this is insane. That's crazy. That is giving people literally seizures. It's and social isolation. Wow. Just wow. That's crazy. So we see the article start to list some cases, and I do think that these are the lawsuits that are being filed individually. So we'll start from the top. Federal judge sends two more Activision addiction lawsuits to arbitration. Correct me if I'm wrong, but arbitration basically means that it's implying that the people filing these lawsuits actually do have a case. And it's not implying that Activision is guilty, but it might imply that they might have to settle. So take that for what you will. But Arkansas federal judge James Moody has ordered two more families to go to arbitration to resolve their lawsuits against Activision Blizzard. The Dunns filed their lawsuit in 2023 after their son's mental and physical health significantly deteriorated due to a video game addiction. Wow. He dropped out of school, suffered from physical outbursts, and was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety. Okay, guys, this is like kind of, you can argue that this should be on the parents and not let their kids play this much. But if the kid is having constant outbursts and freakouts and he's literally depressed mentally and physically, suffering because he can't play, what do you think that's going to do to the parents of that child? This is not a win-win situation here. So if you're telling the parents to just take the video games away, that's only solving one problem. It's not going to solve the whole problem, if that makes any sense. So this is not right. This is not fair to the parents, and this is not fair to the child. And it's all because Activision wants to make a profit. And I could already see how this is going to go from the first case, because the EU already passed the law stating, that the loot boxes and all of these gambling practices that target the children, especially the young children that don't know about it, that's no longer going to be a thing in the EU. So the precedent is here, but the law is not yet. And we can kind of see that the rulings are starting to go in favor of the consumer rather than Activision, because you might say, yeah, these are arbitration cases, this is just a thorn in Activision's side. Well, what happens when Activision gets 100 thorns in their side, or 1,000 thorns? What do you think that does to them? It obviously hurts them, but they don't care. They have enough money to take out every single lawsuit and settle every single one. Let's just keep going. March 5th, 2024. Mom who filed lawsuit against Activision on behalf of child is headed to arbitration. Another arbitration case. A mother whose son became addicted to games made by Activision Blizzard filed a lawsuit in Illinois state courts. On February 18th, 2025, the court issued an opinion sending her case to arbitration, another arbitration case, said her son suffered from severe game addiction an addiction Activision Blizzard specifically designed in its games. As a result, outpatient counseling, received tutoring, was placed on individualized education plan. If the arbitration is not, guys, come on, what are we doing here? If the arbitration is not successful, there will be other legal options. Okay, I like to hear that. Parents are still filing lawsuits against Activision Blizzard and others for the harms that these games can inflict on young people. The harms that these games can inflict on young people is absurd, because it's not only the child that it can harm, but if the child, let's just say, has their parents' credit card on the console or whatever they're playing, it could also hurt the parents financially. There are many cases of parents having their payment, credit card or debit card on the Xbox or on the PlayStation or on Steam, and then their child just racks up a bunch of charges. We've seen that multiple times. So that's also another thing that might hurt the parents financially and the child. This is like, these practices are malicious at the very least. At the very least. But let's keep going. February 21st, 2025. Researchers identify how some elements in Activision's games can increase addiction in children. Okay. Listen to me, guys. Listen to me. If you don't know how the SBMM algorithm works, it's the same algorithm that's in a slot machine. And so if you don't know how a slot machine works, you spin the wheel, right, 5 times, and then you win a little money on your 6th spin. And then that 6th spin gives you a dopamine hit because it gives you an idea that you can win again. And then you spin it another 5 times, and then another 5 times, and then next thing you know, you're stuck there for 3-4 hours, right? That is the same algorithm that's in the Call of Duty public matchmaking system. And if you don't believe me, why do you think you get 5 bad games in a row, right? You're going even, then you go even again, then you go -5, then you go double negative, and then you go, 10 and 23 one more time. Next thing you know, your 6th game, you're playing Nuketown, you're dropping 75, and you're going like 75 and 15. You got 15 deaths and 75 kills. That is the exact same algorithm, because after your good game, you get punished again. It's literally the exact same algorithm as a slot machine. So you're giving the same dopamine hit that you would get from a slot machine to teenagers, children, and young adults while they play your game. That's wrong, and that's not going to fly. And people are going to start pointing this out in court. Researchers studying how children develop gaming addictions have made a significant breakthrough. The authors discovered that the mechanisms that tend to draw children in the most are the opportunity to socialize with real or fictional peers and the reward system employed. They found that the game reinforces compulsive play, such as by offering limited edition events or gear, right? Does that sound a little familiar? Also increases a children's chance of becoming addicted. Many of these addictive elements are present in games by Activision Blizzard, such as Call of Duty. Parents of children who are addicted to video games are continuing to file lawsuits against the makes who add these addictive features. Now, not only does Activision do that by offering limited edition events, gear, etc., but they also do it in the color palettes. They make all these big, vibrant colors. Like, it's almost like that CoComelon stuff. Like, it's literally just like that. But let's just continue, because this is crazy. February 2nd? No, yeah, so we have February 21st up here. This is the 2nd, so about 2 weeks before. Studies suggest violent video games can lead to aggression in teens. Activision Blizzard is the company behind many war and combat video games, including Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. A recent study that looked at teens who are addicted to video games found a correlation between this addiction and aggressive behaviors. These behaviors were more common in ages 15 to 19. The study provides further evidence of the possible negative impacts of violent video games on adolescents. This correlation has led many parents to file lawsuits against video games. That really is nothing new. Video games have been getting sued for having violence in them for a while now. I don't really know if Activision is at fault for that. I mean, that's really been a thing since Call of Duty was created. I would say maybe the cases started a little later, maybe early 2010s, but still, this is very common. This is more focused on the targeting of, addicted gaming systems, more of the gambling, more of the loot boxes, the store pages, how the store page interacts with the matchmaking system. Because there's a patent where if you buy more things, in the store, the matchmaking system favors you more. So that's really what we're getting at here. We're not really looking at, the violence aspect of it, but I understand why they're citing it in here. I do, but I don't think that's the heart of the problem here. Researchers decry harmful loot box. Right, exactly. Researchers explored the connection between adolescents, loot boxes, and video game addictions. In Overwatch, users receive variable rewards in loot boxes, which can activate unhealthy addiction patterns in users' brains. Loot boxes can be earned or purchased, and the loot cannot be converted into real money. Activision swapped out loot boxes for battle passes in 2022 after the pressure from concerned parents and users. So we know that the loot boxes were done away with because the precedent was set and parents were taking a lot of action and they switched it. But you can't switch the system and have the same outcome and not expect the parents to come after you again. I don't understand what Activision's doing here. I don't understand what they're thinking. I don't know what their plan is. And it's obvious that even when you try and hide this design through patents that are either active or deactivated, it's not going to fly. It's not going to work. People are going to find out. And it's obvious that you try and hide these systems from the public, and it doesn't work because you still have to patent all these systems because somebody can take these systems away from you if you don't. So whether the patent is active or not, it doesn't matter. You have the capability to put it in your game. So if there's a patent that's deactivated, but it's based off of, this store bundle being bought, and actually that patent is active. I'm talking about the patent that puts bots in the game. The patent that puts bots in the game is deactivated, but how do we know that you're not actively doing that when there's actually bots in Warzone now? You know what I mean? Like this is what I mean by Activision is so shady that you can't really hide anything because people are just going to start kicking up dirt everywhere because you got shit everywhere under the dirt. It's not going to be hard to find something. That's the point. Anyway, December 19th, 2024, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 ranked as the top-selling video game in November as people file addiction lawsuits. Sales numbers from November of 2024 have placed Call of Duty Black Ops 6 as the best-selling video game of the month, as defined by retail sales and downloads. The game launched on October 25th, 2024, and is already ranking as the second highest-selling game of 2024. The game's quick rise to popularity occurs as many players are filing lawsuits alleging the game is designed to be addictive. 100% correct. November 15th, 2024. Additional video game lawsuits expected to be filed against Activision Blizzard and other game makers. Due to the widespread use of video games like Call of Duty, additional lawsuits are expected to be filed nationwide. Lawsuits allege video game makers intentionally designed their games to be addictive, failed to warn consumers about the potential harm, and targeted youths. The World Health Organization issues warning about problematic gaming. They released data about problematic social media use and gaming among young people in Europe, Asia, and Canada. The findings show that over 1 in 5 adolescents surveyed played video games for at least 4 hours a day when they are gaming. This is nuts. This is nuts, guys. Activision Blizzard and its role, the statute of limitations. I didn't even know there was a statute of limitations when it comes to targeting minors. That's kind of crazy. Contact an Activision addiction lawyer. Wow. There's really an Activision addiction lawyer. That's crazy. I'm speechless right now. This article actually goes to show you how deep this goes. Activision was founded. No, we don't need the history. Yeah, we don't need the history. We know the history. Yeah, it's just showing the games. I think the ones with the stars are the ones, in the lawsuits. Yeah, currently involved in video game addiction lawsuit. Yeah. I mean, this article really does have a lot of information. Legal grounds. Plaintiffs allege that Activision Blizzard was negligent, true, defectively design their products? No, no. They intentionally design their products to be like that. Failed to warn consumers about the risk of addiction. I mean, they do have. There has to be a foundation for these cases because there's no way you can file a lawsuit against a company as powerful as Activision without having a lot of evidence. Like, you have to have a lot of credible evidence to make a case against these guys, because these guys are not a joke. Like, their lawyers are no joke. Activision's lawyers are no joke. So plaintiffs who file video game lawsuits in civil court make a number of accusations against Activision. Those accusations include that Activision failed consumers by designing games that were inherently addictive and then failing to warn consumers about the potential for addiction. This is exactly right. It's literally a gambling warning below every sports book, every online gambling app. It's literally a warning. You should have a warning for that. Specific accusations in Activision lawsuits include negligence, defective design, fraudulent misrepresentation, failure to warn, deceptive trade practices. Where have I heard that before? I want to read misrepresentation. Complaints further allege that the company misrepresented the safety of their games and downplayed the potential risk of harm to vulnerable populations, including minors, neurodivergent individuals. 100% correct. That's 100% correct. Deceptive trade practices. Where have I heard that before? Nah, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't know. It's not like I've made about 25 videos on this channel covering that at all. Maybe the game not closing properly on Steam that causes fake player count numbers. We don't know if that problem's also on Battle.net. They do the player count numbers with console, but they don't mention that that's logins and not actual time played with concurrent players. There's a lot of deceptive shit that they do because this is Activision, and if you could dig through it, you can obviously find out what they're doing. Legal framework surrounding the case. Several state and federal laws are designed to help protect consumers from deceptive practices. This is 100% true. If you're getting away with something, even if it's for 40 years, you'll be caught eventually. It is alleged that in the legal documents filed across the country that Activision Blizzard violated these laws in an effort to enhance profits. Individuals who have been affected by video game addictions and experienced an inability to quit playing video games like Call of Duty may have legal recourse. Sorry, dyslexia. It is important to consult with an attorney to determine whether they qualify to file a claim. 100% correct. 100% correct. Well, we don't want to read the laws protecting, because we know that this is the case. Prior cases, that's precedents, state protections, Federal Trade Commission Act. We know all this stuff. Here we go. Legal accusations: negligence, defective design, fraudulent misrepresentation, failure to warn, deceptive trade practices, laws protecting consumers, Federal Trade Commission Act, Section 5, state laws like unfair and deceptive acts and practices statutes. In arbitration, okay, so that might just be a case that was settled through arbitration and sets a precedent for the rest of the cases. This is pretty straightforward. I agree with what the parents are doing here. Here we go. Yes, addictive features of Activision Blizzard games. Variable reward systems, aspects of games like Call of Duty, including the supply drops, reserve crates, and progression systems with inherent rewards are said to encourage excessive gaming, particularly in youth with impulsivity, challenges, or struggles with self-regulation. Guys, progression systems, that's SBMM, just to let you know. Microtransactions, another aspect of Activision, here we go. Games that reportedly makes them more addictive are in-game purchases, microtransactions, and pay-to-win models. These elements encourage spending and have potential to encourage overspending, particularly in youth. The dopamine release. Video games, including Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and Overwatch, trigger a dopamine release that users then try to recreate frequently. I said that? This is not pre-recorded. I said that before, 5 minutes ago, and here it is in the article. It's kind of crazy, the fact that this has to happen. In order to file a lawsuit related to Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, or Overwatch addiction, people must meet certain eligibility criteria, including proof of medical diagnosis, proof of play, age. Yeah, so they're gathering evidence on Activision. Like, they're not just submitting these lawsuits and saying my son's playing too much on the game. You guys are not doing your part. Like, this is not a Karen that's suing on behalf of her son because she can't control him. This is actually something that's physically harming people, and it seems like that when people called it out for a while, they got rid of the loot boxes, but now it seems like it's happening again regarding the current system. SBMM tied in with the store and battle pass. That's the heart of this article. That's the heart of the problem with Call of Duty right now. It's SBMM tied in with the store and the battle pass. You could give us AI maps, but at that point, if you get rid of everything else, the game would be somewhat playable. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think AI is not even the problem here. It's Activision. This is the issue right here. I'm going to link this article for you guys. This is a great read. I suggest you guys go read it. I'm going to head out now and get to work. Enjoy your week. We're going to be uploading a few non-commentary gameplays this week. You guys been enjoying the MW2 content. So, yeah, I'm going to keep that up, and I'll keep you guys up.